Africa. The word conjures images of exotic animals and people, sweeping skies over panoramic plains, a continent of strange sights, smells, and sounds. Africa has a heart whose beat pulses through its culture, geography, and history. Africa is also a place of great tragedy. Droughts, famine, civil war, malaria, AIDS, and something less sensational, lack of accessible education. My name is Andy Clay, and this is a story about my husband Jim's and my life and how it was changed with the help of a small African village. The story doesn't begin with the village or even in Africa. It begins with a plane crash. My son Jay was killed in a plane crash in March 1999. He was an avid mountain climber. He had always told me we would climb Mount Kilimanjaro together. After he died, I needed something as physically challenging as what I was going through emotionally. I knew then it was time to climb Mount Kilimanjaro together with my husband and 2 sons. It was as if our son Jay had directed us to a way to heal the hole that was left in our life. Africa touched our souls, especially the children. We knew we'd return. What we didn't know is that 5 years later, we'd find people in our own hometown that shared that same powerful feeling. Dr. Deborah Akri and Gina King had their own experiences in Africa. The dream that grew with those experiences was to start a secondary school in Kenya. We met by coincidence, but we've since come to believe it wasn't a coincidence at all. As we talked about their dream, I knew it was our dream too. With our support and encouragement, Deborah and Gina went to Kenya to find a village that met our idealistic criteria. They found it, and so much more, in Ngomano. Due to the failed attempts of other organizations trying to help Africans, the villagers were skeptical. In Kenya, public education ends at grade 8. Without school, hope also ends. Education wouldn't be something we provided for the children, but something we did with their families and with the tribesmen. In 2005, Project Education was a reality. We made our first trip to Ngomano to meet the village elders and introduce ourselves to an amazing group of students. Together we began to clear the land to build the school. Because I'm a nurse, my first assignment was to evaluate the general health of the kids. I was saddened to see how nutritionally compromised most of them were. The village people spoke of the 6-year drought. We had to wonder how children can learn when there's no food because there's no water. Our new goal became not only to help the village build a school, but to make sure there was usable water. To start, we bought a donkey to make and carry the muddy water over a mile from the dry river back to the village. Then we set out to drill a well, which isn't so easy when you're 3 hours from paved roads or electricity. The well was to become the chief source of frustration for more than a year. But water means life. Without it, our project would fail. The people of Ngomano never gave up the dream, and they never lost faith in us. The dream became a reality. For most of us, the emotions were too great to keep inside. Deborah and Gina, of course, were always with us. So were our good friends, Don and Celeste Mergens, who were as dedicated as if these children were their own. They jumped right in to help in any way they could, and in the process captivated the kids just as much as the kids captivated them. The donkey the students named Clay. Jim was as pleased about that as when the boys named the soccer team the Clay Warriors. Of course, our own kids, who had been with us on that first trip to Kilimanjaro, wanted to be a part of this new endeavor. Aaron came first, and then he vowed he'd never miss another opportunity. The field trips were Jim's idea. Imagine. For most of these kids, everything we did would be a first, from riding in a bus to seeing the ocean.
What do you think, boys? That's something else, huh?
What was it like?
Nalalina butu sherie Bongina misote oh sheri bitu Tomo etoneli ngamoye misokolele Tolingana ondimile nongana zumurupe Madiabona na luka yo mingi na zangiyo Mampase tuninga motema ngo sherie Na filisika tenyanso ya myansi na kijasa
When we went to dinner buffet style, one boy said to me, "I have never seen so many pots."
Et pourtant ton message